The Mariners make a statement by re-signing Josh Naylor earlier than expected. What this means for the rest of the offseason and why this deal came together so quickly, coming up here on this emergency edition of Locked On Mariners. Colby, hit it.
You are Locked On Mariners, your daily Seattle Mariners podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Ahoy, Naylor. It is Sunday, November 16th, 2025. This is Dane Gonzalez and Colby Patnode for the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, now the #1 sports podcast network. Jeff Passan of ESPN is reporting tonight that the Mariners and free agent first baseman Josh Naylor have come to an agreement on a 5-year contract to bring Naylor back into the fold full-time in Seattle after being a part of that run that nearly got the Mariners into their first World Series in franchise history. MLB insider Ari Alexander is also reporting that the deal is going to fall somewhere between the $90 and $100 million range. So we'll talk a little bit more about that later on. We'll talk about what this means for the Mariners in general, getting this done now this early and what path it puts them on for the rest of the offseason. But before we do that, shout out to our title sponsor tonight, Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB. That's LOCKEDON MLB for $20 off your first purchase. So the Mariners re-signing Josh Naylor is not something that comes as much of a surprise. I mean, I definitely left the possibility of his market just getting too outrageous and him going elsewhere as a result. Definitely like in the back of my mind, sure. But overall, I felt pretty confident the Mariners and Naylor were going to be able to get something done together, especially with how open the Mariners had talked about this and how big of a priority this was for them. They were not shy in admitting that Naylor was by and large at the top of their list heading into this offseason. And while this is a very transparent group, they're typically not that transparent when it comes to specific players. So that in and of itself kind of tipped me off that they felt pretty good about getting something done here. But what I am surprised about is that we're having this discussion on November 16th. That is very early, especially for someone of Naylor's magnitude to sign. I mean, he is by far the biggest free agent that has chosen to go somewhere this winter. Really nothing else of significant note has happened this offseason. I mean, Naylor only officially hit free agency, a week and a half ago? Something like that. So it's not often you see something like this happen this early. And what that signifies to me ultimately is that Josh Naylor wants to be here. That he went into this offseason with his primary goal being staying in Seattle. And so it seems like the money is going to be reasonable. We'll see if the 5th year is guaranteed or not. Right now it's being reported as a 5-year deal, but sometimes that can mean that the last year of that deal is an option. Again, details right now are sparse, but he is going to undergo his physical tomorrow, and then that will make things official, and we'll probably hear everything we need to know by tomorrow at some point. And maybe even the Mariners will make an official announcement about it. But yeah, I mean, this was priority number one. I think this was the one player that Mariners fans and the Mariners content creator sphere and people around the club could all agree upon had to come back from last year's group, and the Mariners find a way to get it done here. And again, seems like it's on a pretty reasonable deal as well. So what's your thoughts, initial reaction here, Colby?
It is surprising. Not so much that Naylor is here and not the contract that he is kind of being reported to get. Only really one report. We'll see. But none of that is that surprising. I think we knew that the Mariners were the favorite to get Josh Naylor. I think we knew that he was going to get between 4 and 5 years and probably around 20 million AAV. And that's kind of looking like where it's going to land. So none of this is that surprising, but it's November 16th. Like, none of the free agent bats have signed yet. I mean, heck, free agency has only been going on for what, like 10 days?
Yeah.
Technically. And Naylor's already signed here. He didn't wait out the Pete Alonso market. He didn't wait out the Alex Bregman market. He wanted to be here very clearly. That's what this tells you. He wanted to be here. This was his destination of choice. He was the Mariners' priority. And, good on the Mariners for not being like, well, let's see how the market works and we'll get back to you. And, we don't want to give you a 5th year guaranteed, but maybe if we have to, we will. And we don't know again if the 5th year is guaranteed or not. But the fact that this got done so quickly with, no other dominoes falling that would favor Josh Naylor. If Pete Alonso signed with the Red Sox or whatever, Naylor probably would have gotten more money than he ended up getting from Seattle. It's just probably the reality of it because the Mets were going to be lingering and there was probably a bigger payday there. And Naylor didn't want it or didn't think so or whatever. But regardless, he chose to be here. And I think that signifies a lot about who Josh Naylor is as a person. I think it says a lot about, the vibes of the Mariners, so to speak, and where this team is going, that he clearly likes the direction they're going in. And this is going to be his big contract. Now he's going to be a free agent again at like 33. So he'll probably get one more pretty good contract, but this was the big one that he was going to sign. And ultimately we'll see where it lands, but he chose to be here. This is where he wants to spend the prime of his career. And he's going to be the Mariners' first baseman for a long, long time. These are all very good things. And they all speak, volumes about where the Mariners are right now. And there's bigger picture things here that I'm sure we'll get to later on in the show. But Josh Naylor was, a trend breaker in a lot of ways. He was a lefty who came here and hit at T-Mobile Park right away. There was no adjustment period. He just hit right away. He was actually the first rental bat, big name rental bat that Jerry and Justin went out and got in their entire tenure here. They went out and they got him. And now they're paying him. They're going to pay him more than any other free agent bat they've paid in their time in Seattle by a significant margin. His 1 year AAV will almost, beat the previous record of Mitch Garver's entire contract. So, it is in a year where Josh Naylor's proven to be a kind of a trend breaker. Stole what? Did it get to 30 bases? 30 stolen bases?
Yeah, he did. Yeah.
As the second slowest runner in baseball. His defense went from it's not great to one of the best defensive players, first baseman in baseball since he joined the Mariners. Like he has broken trends all along the way. And this time he breaks another one, signing incredibly early before any dominoes have fallen. That would benefit him greatly. And good on him for knowing what he wants and getting it done. And good on the Mariners for not, for when you say you're a priority, right? When you've publicly said this guy's a priority, we feel like we have to have him back. We need him. He is the key to the offseason. You can't say that and then also be like, we want to go 3 years, not 5. Could we maybe meet the middle at 4?
Right.
Like, no, you say, what is it going to take? This is the number. We're doing it. Boom. And you meet their number and you get this thing done quickly. And oh, by the way, this opens up a lot for the rest of the offseason because now you have Naylor in your back pocket. You know what the number is going to be.
Yeah.
You know how this is going to impact your budget. You know that you don't have to pivot to other first base options. You don't have to save money because Naylor's still sitting out there and you think you might have a shot to sign him in January or February. It's all great. It is all fantastic. The timing is surprising, no doubt, but it is ideal for the Mariners to get this done as early as possible. And again, I think this says a lot about Josh Naylor wanting to be here and wanting to spend his prime of his career in Seattle, playing for this team and playing with Cal Raleigh and playing with Julio Rodriguez and, whoever else is along for the ride. I think this is a statement being made by Josh Naylor, and I think it's also a statement being made by the Seattle Mariners. And both of those statements are pretty cool.
I would also say this on, this coming together so quickly. I mean, Josh Naylor is a no nonsense dude. So in a way, it kind of also makes sense that he's just like, yeah, this is where I want to be. Let's just get this over with now. Like, yeah, this is kind of what I want. You willing to make that offer? You are? All right, cool. Let's just get it done with. I got better stuff to do this winter.
Yeah, Josh doesn't strike me as a guy who likes the drama of waiting out for agency, which is why I never really thought that he was a great fit for the Mets. Like that drama in that city, that does not scream Josh Naylor. The vibe of Seattle screams Josh Naylor. Let's be perfectly clear. So in many ways, it is the match, made in heaven, and thankfully they got it done.
All right. So you talked about this little while ago, what this does for the rest of the offseason for the Mariners, now having Naylor already locked up this early on in the process. Go over that in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you by FanDuel and DUER. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you miss the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score next to fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team is making that late push. Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Sailors, I got to tell you, I love a good pair of jeans, but I'm also very particular about my jeans. I need the fit to be right. If they're blue jeans, especially, there's a very particular shade of light blue I'm looking for. And of course, I need them to be comfortable, right? I mean, that's the name of the game. And well, I just got my first pair of jeans from DUER, and they check off every single box. I got the Performance Denim Slims as well as a Pure Pima Vintage Pocket Tee, and they're both getting added to my regular rotation. DUER jeans have 5 times the stretch of traditional denim. They're antibacterial, meaning your jeans stay fresh longer so you can wear more and wash less. And they're made with CoolMax, which regulates your body temperature and wicks moisture. And DUER combines classic jeans wear with the kind of comfort and performance you get from athletic wear. So it's the best of both worlds. And DUER are pioneers of blending technical innovation with everyday clothing. They invented the original performance denim. So simply put, DUER makes the world's most comfortable pants without having to sacrifice style. Trust me, once you try these, they'll be your go-to. Get a pair for yourself or as an amazing holiday gift. Go now to shopDUER.com/LockedOnSeattle. You'll get 15% off your first order. That's shop DUER.com/LockedOnSeattle for 15% off. ShopDUER.com/LockedOnSeattle. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Thank you for making us your first listen after the Josh Naylor news. And also thank you for making Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. So again, it's November 16th. The Mariners have already got Josh Naylor locked up to a long-term contract. What do we do now? This was supposed to be like the big talking point of the offseason. Now it's over. It's done. He's coming back to Seattle. So what now, Colby? What does this do for the Mariners for the rest of the offseason?
I mean, now we rest and watch a grateful, whatever Thanos' line was. Yeah. So for us, I don't know, because this was kind of like the big one, and you hope that like maybe this breaks open a logjam a little bit, and there's still obviously things to go get done. The Mariners retained a player. They didn't, they added a player, but not really. It's a player they already had, but semantics either way. They had 3 spots in the middle of their lineup open up a couple days ago, and they filled one, but there's still 2 big spots left to go. Right now, you're starting second baseman and starting third baseman in a year you hope to win the World Series are Ben Williamson and Cole Young. Your starting right field is Victor Robles and Dominic Canzone. We don't know who the DH is going to be. And you still have major questions in the bullpen. And that's not counting all the health scares that happen with your starting pitching. And we won't even know that's going to be a factor until next year. So there's still plenty to go get done. There are lots of things to do this offseason. And you can't just add Josh Naylor and be like, well, we like Williamson and we like Cole Young, so we're done. Like this was it. No, you are not better if this is the only move you make. And the whole point of the offseason is to get better. So the Mariners still have work to do, make no mistake about it, but this was the big one. This was #1 on the priority list of just about everybody. And again, they know how much he's going to make in year 1. They know what this does to their budget. They know, does this mean we now maybe can keep Luis Castillo, or does this mean maybe now we need to move Luis Castillo even more than we thought we did? Like, there are other decisions that will be made based off of this signing, but the Mariners can't be done. And I highly doubt they are. Like, this is a good first step. It was a necessary step. It sets up everything else you could want to do this offseason. You don't have to have this lingering over your head where it's like, do we want to give, this second baseman an extra $3 million? What if we need that for Josh Naylor? Blah, blah, blah. The mental gymnastics that GMs do when their number one priority is still sitting out there. We saw this team last winter, for better or worse, their like main plan was to go get Carlos Santana. And when he didn't sign with you, they panicked. And they did not have a good pivot, And
this is already a better offseason than the last offseason.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So
it took 12 days?
Right. It's wild to think, that last year the Mariners sat and they waited for one player before they could do anything in the offseason. And then those players, every time they did that, they went somewhere else, leaving the Mariners sitting there without a chair. And this offseason, they've gotten rid of that. They're like, look, we've got our guy. This is the one we needed right here.
Yeah.
Now we have options. Now we can explore. And now we have this freedom of knowing that we have our number one target in our back pocket. Now we can be a little more aggressive. We could be a little bit more, savvy with our money. And again, we don't know what the AAV is going to shake out. We don't know if this is going to be a backloaded contract or anything like that. And we don't really know, honestly, what the Mariners payroll situation is. We know what they tell us it is, but we don't know what the actual number is.
I'm going to say something crazy right now.
Ty,
this is going to get,
I'm begging you not to say this.
You know what I'm going to say, don't you?
I feel like I know, but go ahead.
I'm going to get clipped. I'm going to get clipped. I'm going to get dunked on in 2 months. Who cares? Whatever. I'm going to get dunked on anyway for anything.
But before that, people are going to be like, you guys won't believe what this Mariner insider said. What does he know? Hi, that's me. I'm the person who's going to be the what does he know guy.
Right. This is not based off of anything that I've heard. This is just me like connecting the dots of like how things have been reported on and how the messaging has come across from, Jerry and Justin, etc. over the last couple of weeks. I think the Mariners have more money than we think they do. Like the front office has more money to spend than we think they do. I think they have more than the 166. Like I think they're willing to go beyond that point this offseason.
Whoa, some random account on Twitter just tweeted at Dane Gonzalez says the Mariners are spending $190 million this year. That's insane. I mean, God bless that account, I guess. But yeah, it really is a statement of yours to be like, yeah, the Mariners are going to spend more than they publicly said they would. Like, okay.
I don't know. There's like little things that I'm noticing here. Well, like, all right, first and foremost, they were like Hollander was like, yeah, we would love to bring back Naylor and Polo and Gino. Now I'm sure like that means like at their price, especially like on Gino, but like, and then he's like, and then we want to, add to the bullpen as well. It's like, you do realize how much that would cost, right? In theory, like doing all of that.
We've talked about this, right? If the Mariners aren't going to trade Luis Castillo and shed most of that salary, it was going to be very difficult for them to do anything other than bring back two of these three guys.
And so another reason why I say this is also like, it doesn't seem like they have any interest in trading Randy. And I really don't know if they're actually going to be able to trade Luis. Like you and I spent a long time trying to find a Luis trade that made sense in our offseason plan. Now that doesn't mean anything really in the grand scheme of things. Like the Mariners could find a trade that you and I didn't even consider for Luis Castillo this winter. But it is very difficult to find that fit. And so I'm not sure if like, even if they want to trade Luis, that they'll find a deal that winds up making sense for them and saves them enough money to the point where like they wind up being a better team on the other end of it. So I don't know, just like the ambitions that they say that they have packaged with the other levers that they would have to pull in order to make those things happen under the $166 million umbrella. Like how unlikely those things kind of feel to me. I don't know. Kind of feel like they might have more money. Maybe it's Cope. Clip this. Don't call me in 2 months. I don't care.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they do. I kind of refuse to believe they do until they actually spend it. But obviously this is a big, first step. And like we've talked about, it's hard for us to imagine them getting Naylor done and Polo and still have enough to go out and get somebody else who's making a sizable chunk of money. I mean, you could always go out and trade for a Gregory Santos pre-arb reliever and take your chances there. And maybe you have enough to go get, a 3-4 million ARB one guy. Maybe you could do something like that, but you can't do the big, splashy things without freeing up salary if your budget is really 165 ish. So,
and so that like, we're still like not 100% sure on where they actually are like pre-Naylor deal, but they're somewhere in the 130 to 135 range. So let's say this Naylor deal comes out to, again, Ari Alexander is reporting that it's between 90 and $100 million. So let's just split the difference. Let's just call it 95. All right. So that's a $19 million annual salary. Well, that's already a significant chunk of what you have left. Because if you're at between 130 to 135, you either have 30 to $35 million to spend.
Mm-hmm.
So like how do they expect to be able to address all these other needs if they're not going to trade Luis or Randy? You know what I mean?
Yep.
So I don't know. And again, like I don't think they want to trade Randy. I don't think they have any interest in trading Randy. Maybe I'm wrong on that. But I don't think they want to do that. I don't think that's something they're actually entertaining. And then the Castillo deal, like maybe they, I mean, obviously they would know more than we do, but like that just doesn't seem like a slam dunk to actually happen. So I don't know. I'm doing the Brian Windhorst thing, just like, what's going on in Seattle. So what can we expect from Josh Naylor in his first full season in Seattle, and how might this contract age? Talk about that in just a moment. But first, a reminder, this episode of the Locked On Mariners podcast is brought to you by Gametime. NFL season is back, and there's nothing better than being in the stadium surrounded by fans cheering on your team. But let's be honest, getting tickets can be a hassle. Between queues, login screens, and prices jumping at checkout, it's frustrating. That's why I use Gametime, the app that gives the advantage back to fans. Gametime is fast, easy, and backed by the Gametime guarantee. You'll always get 100% authentic tickets delivered on time and at the best price. Plus, all fees are included, so the price you see is the price you pay. I pulled up Gametime, and in just a couple taps, I saw amazing deals. I'm talking about your favorite NFL games as low as $100. It's faster, cheaper, and less stressful than any other way I bought tickets. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use the promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go, download Gametime today. And you're listening to the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. As always, if you want to hear from me and Colby even more and help support the show, we have a Patreon. It's called Control the Zone, and on there we talk Mariners, Seahawks, all that good stuff. For more information, go to patreon.com/Control the Zone. Link in the description of this episode. So we got 2 months and change of experience of what it's like to have Josh Naylor on your favorite baseball team, and it was amazing. It was a huge part of this ride that we all went along. One of the best rides in the history of Seattle Mariners baseball, and Naylor was right at the core of that. Was a huge part of the postseason run, was a huge part of the run to winning the division and all that. And we saw him do some things that we didn't even know were possible from Josh Naylor, specifically all the stolen bases. Right? He steals 30 bags, including 21 in a Mariners uniform or 20 in a Mariners uniform, whatever it was. He stole a lot of bases as a Seattle Mariner, despite ranking in the second percentile in sprint speed in all of baseball. He was incredibly clutch, had so many big hits that we can point to. Getting in the postseason, he had like 1 billion 3-hit games. He's awesome. And he also just brought an attitude to this club that they just really didn't have. And it was cool to see how that missing element kind of just fits so perfectly into the structure of things in that Mariners clubhouse. But I'm curious what you think Naylor is going to look like over the course of this contract, specifically to start it. I mean, like, I think it's safe to say he's probably not going to steal 30 bags again. But what do you think from this year is sustainable, not sustainable? Who is Josh Naylor really? Like, who are the Mariners actually acquiring right now?
I think we have a really clear idea on who Josh Naylor is. He is the guy who doesn't give you traditional first base power, with the exception of 1 year, where he went for power and it affected his batting average and his on base. I feel like we know who Josh Naylor is. And Naylor's a guy, he's going to be, probably hit between 270 and 290, good on base skills, probably 20-ish home runs, 30 doubles, something like that. He's going to be a good base runner. I don't know if he's going to steal 30 bags again, but he's a smart base runner. He understands the game very well. He's a heady player. He's going to be aggressive at the plate. He will take walks, but he wants to hit. He's not going to strike out. You remember when he first got here and like the first 4 games, he's running like a 30% strikeout rate, and everybody was like, oh my God, he's going to strike out. Everybody comes to the Mariners and strikes out. Well, go look at where that finished. It finished right in line with his career norms. So he's going to walk enough. He's not going to strike out. He's going to make a ton of contact. He's going to hit doubles. He's going to hit homers. He's going to steal some bags. He's going to be a smart base runner. He's going to be a quality defender at first base, maybe even plus, because for some reason he got significantly better in Seattle defensively than he had been anywhere else in his career. And he's going to age fine, like, especially for the first couple of years here. He's 28 years old. Like, he's not 32, 33 like Polo or like Gino. So there's no reason to suspect his bat is going to slow down. He's going to, against tough lefties, you probably move him down the lineup. There are some platoon issues that you have to deal with, but it's a guy who we kind of know who he is because he's been the same guy basically for the last 6 years. He's going to hit for average. He's going to hit about 20 homers. And he's going to be an above average, 20% above league average hitter. And he's not going to strike out. He's going to take his fair share of walks, and he seems to have a flair for the dramatics and getting big hits in big situations. So I feel really comfortable with Josh aging well into this contract. And again, even if the last year is bad, which there's really no reason to suspect it might be, since he'll only be 33 years old, 32 years old. Even if that is bad, who cares? You pay for the front half of the contract. That's what free agency is. You pay for the first half. And the second half is the discount you got. Now you have to pay it back to them. 5 years for a 28-year-old first baseman who doesn't rely on speed or athleticism, to make his game work. That's going to age just fine. I hope that it's just the Josh Naylor we've seen. I don't want him to sell out for more power. I don't want him to try and hit 30 home runs again. I want him to be the guy who hits 280 with 20 homers and 30 doubles. And I don't know, maybe 10 to 15 bags is more realistic, and just play good defense and just be a 3-win player. And that's something you can do if you're Josh Naylor. And I want him to do that and just lengthen the lineup and make a ton of contact, hard contact. And I want that attitude. I want that, big grumper vibe in the clubhouse, because sometimes you need that to counter the ultra positivity of Julio Rodriguez and, JP Crawford and the like. So I just want him to be who he was last year. And I feel really confident that he will be that guy, because that's who he's kind of always been.
Well, the other thing too, he was dealing with a very serious shoulder injury all of this year, even back, when he was still in Arizona, but especially after he got to Seattle, he re-aggravated it a couple of times. He aggravated it during the ALCS and was playing through it. I don't know what the recovery on that whole situation is and what exactly that situation is to begin with. But like, you would think he should be feeling at least a little bit better by the time we start playing ball again. And like, what could a fully healthy Josh Naylor, what could that look like? Right. It's also pretty exciting to think about. So, yeah, man, this is so cool. I mean, cause like, obviously, you know, losing game 7 hurt for obvious reasons, but also like the added element of, man, this could be the last time we see Josh Naylor in a Mariners uniform. Man, this could be the last time we see Jorge Polanco in a Mariners uniform. Like, that made things sting even worse. And the fact that feeling, at least on the Naylor front, isn't going to be allowed to linger really at all. It's really cool.
I think the most important part of tonight is the message that's being sent by this team to not only the fans, but also to the clubhouse, that we believe in you. We think you are worth investing in. We think we're close, and we don't want to, drag our feet on this, and we don't want to, well, we're just always going to chase value. So if we wait 3 weeks, we might get them for a 4th year instead of a 5th year, and blah, blah, blah. And it's just like, no, let's not screw around. Let's get this done. Let's show people we're serious. And again, it's one lesson when you go out there and you try to pitch yourself to other free agents. It's, oh, we have Julio, we have Cal Raleigh, and look, we've added Josh Naylor, and look at our pitching staff, and look at our bullpen. And it's just another thing that you can go out there and you can sell. You can sell Josh Naylor to your fan base, to your clubhouse, to other free agents, to the rest of baseball. Like, last year was not the fluke. It was the beginning of something, not the end of something. And by getting this done when they did, by being as aggressive about their contract offer as they have been with anybody, I think that sends a statement loud and clear to us, to the people of Seattle, and, to the Pacific Northwest, to the world of baseball, and most importantly, to the 26 guys in that clubhouse, one of whom is going to be Josh Naylor. And I think that is something that can't be understated here. You still need to follow it up. Like, this is great. It sends a message. But if this is all you do, the message goes away. It changes. So it's a great first step. No question about it. It's the biggest step of any journey. The most important step is the first one. And Josh Naylor was the first step. And they got it done early. They got it out of the way. And again, that is something that this fan base needed to see, this clubhouse needed to see. And it doesn't happen, by the way, if Josh doesn't want it to happen. So kudos to Jerry and Justin for not messing around. But also, awesome that Josh, seemingly came to them and was like, I want this to be done. Let's figure this out. I don't want this to linger on all winter. And I think that speaks a lot to, what the Mariners have, what they're building in that clubhouse, and where they're at in the grand scheme of the baseball world. And I think all of this just confirms that, and should leave people very excited, not only for the rest of this winter, but hopefully for the 2026 season. But that's still going to depend on ownership, and that's still going to depend on what Jerry and Justin do next. But it's a terrific first step. There's no question about that.
But that is going to do it for our show. Thank you so much for joining us here on the Locked On Mariners podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. For Colby, Patnode, I'm Dane Gonzalez. Be sure to give us a follow on Twitter at @LO_Mariners. You can follow me at Dane Gonzalez, Colby at CPAT11, that's CPAT11. We're also on Blue Sky. You can follow me at TDG, Colby at MLB Colby, and the show at Locked On Mariners. You can also find us on Instagram at Locked On Mariners. Have yourself a beautiful baseball day, and we'll see you next time. Peace.